On the distant planet Zarian, the sun painted the sky with shades of gold and red. The wind moved across the rocky deserts, carrying fine dust that sparkled in the light. Among the sands, an alien team worked carefully. They were tall, slender, with blue skin and sharp eyes that glowed faintly in the sunlight. Their leader, Kiro, watched the ruins with fascination. The ruins were old, older than any records the aliens had ever seen. Stone walls jutted from the ground, half buried in sand. Strange symbols were carved into the stones. Some symbols moved slightly when touched, glowing with a faint energy. Kiro had studied many ancient civilizations, but nothing like this had appeared before. "These markings," said Kiro, bending closer to examine a glowing symbol, "they are not from any known race. Look at this energy pattern. It is too precise. Too strong." Another member of the team, Loma, knelt nearby. "It is almost alive," she said, her voice quiet. "The energy is stored, but it feels like it wants to speak." Kiro nodded. He took a device from his belt and scanned the stones. The machine buzzed and beeped, showing readings far beyond their technology. "This civilization," Kiro said slowly, "was powerful. More powerful than anything in our history books." The team carefully moved deeper into the ruins. Broken statues and scattered tools lay among the sand. One tool looked like a small sphere with tiny moving parts. When Loma picked it up, it floated above her hand for a moment before landing gently. The aliens gasped. "It responds to touch," Kiro said. "But how? Nothing we know moves like this without power." Then, they found the entrance to a hidden chamber. The door was massive, carved with more symbols. Kiro placed his hand on the surface, and the door slowly opened, revealing a room filled with light. Inside, the air was clear and calm, untouched by time. Shelves lined the walls, filled with devices, books, and strange containers. At the center of the room was a large device, shaped like a cube, glowing faintly. Kiro stepped inside. "This is a human archive," he said after examining one of the books. "These writings, they are history, technology, and warnings. This race, it was called human." The aliens were confused. Humans were known in stories, but they were considered extinct. Kiro scanned the writings, translating the strange language into their own. The words spoke of battles across galaxies, inventions that could change the stars, and a warning: "We are dangerous. We are not to be underestimated." Loma looked around nervously. Why would they disappear and leave all this behind? Kiro shook his head. "Perhaps they were hiding. Or perhaps they left for a reason we do not understand. But this power is something the galaxy has not seen for thousands of years." The team continued exploring. Every object they touched showed a small reaction, as if the ruins remembered the humans who built them. A small holographic figure appeared when Kiro touched the cube. It showed a human in a protective suit, moving quickly through strange landscapes. The figure paused, looked directly at the cube, and raised a hand. Then the hologram disappeared. "This is a message," Kiro whispered. "They wanted to leave a record for someone to find." As the sun set on Zarian, the ruins glowed with a gentle blue light. Kiro realized that finding this place was not by accident. The humans had left a trail, and the aliens had followed it. For centuries, no one had known of this place. Now, its secrets were beginning to wake. Kiro felt a strange excitement. The humans were described as dangerous, yes, but also clever and resourceful. If they had once controlled galaxies, what could they do now? And if they returned, would they seek allies, or would they take back what they had lost? Loma studied the glowing devices. "Their technology is beautiful," she said softly. "It is alive in a way that we cannot copy. It adapts, responds, and thinks in patterns we cannot understand." Kiro nodded. "We must be careful," he said. This is only the beginning. The humans may be forgotten by most of the galaxy, but here, we see their truth. They are not just a race. They are a force. The wind outside grew stronger, scattering the sands across the ruins. The light from the glowing devices reflected on the walls, creating shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. Kiro felt a shiver of awe and caution. The humans had built this place to be remembered, and now it was remembered, awakening the curiosity and fear of those who had stumbled upon it. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy might see humans again. And the aliens, standing in the ruins of a lost civilization, could feel the stirrings of a force that had been forgotten. Kiro and his team returned to their ship, the alien ruins of Zarian heavy in their minds. The archive they had uncovered was unlike anything they had ever seen. Every device, every symbol, every record spoke of humans as a dangerous and intelligent race. Yet, none of the texts explained why they had vanished. Back on the ship, Kiro examined the archive more carefully. He placed a glowing device on a table, and it activated, projecting a hologram that filled the room. Images of humans appeared, showing them in action across planets, building, exploring, and fighting. They moved with purpose and skill, never wasting emotion. Lomo leaned closer. They were warriors and thinkers at the same time, she said. Look at this. Every action seems planned, precise, and creative. Kiro nodded. The records call them dangerous because they adapt. They do not fight like others. They change, learn, and overcome obstacles in ways that no one can predict. That is their true power. The archive also contained warnings. In one hologram, a human figure stood in a glowing landscape, speaking directly into the recording. Words appeared in translation: "We are not to be underestimated. We have survived when others failed. If we return, the galaxy will see our strength." Loma shivered. They wanted to make sure anyone who found this knew the truth. They were forgotten, but not powerless. Kiro thought carefully. It seems humans chose to disappear. Perhaps they left because the galaxy was not ready for them. Perhaps they needed time to grow, to learn, and to prepare. But if they return, they could change everything. The aliens debated what to do with this knowledge. Some were excited, imagining the possibilities of learning from humans. Others were afraid, remembering the stories of wars that humans had fought across galaxies. Kiro felt the weight of responsibility. If humans were truly as powerful as the archive suggested, their return could bring hope or danger. As the ship drifted through space, the team continued to explore the archives. The texts spoke of human adaptability in extreme environments, their ability to survive on frozen worlds, in deserts, in planets with toxic air. Humans had learned to use resources that no other species could. They are survivors, Loma said. They do not just fight. They create, invent, and change the rules of survival. Kiro pointed at a section of the archive showing maps of distant galaxies. See this? Humans moved through systems that were unknown. They built alliances and also fought conflicts when necessary. They were never predictable. That is why they were feared. The warnings in the archive also spoke of morality and choice. Humans had learned not only to survive but to protect and lead. Some texts described humans shielding weaker species during wars, showing a sense of justice beyond instinct. Others showed humans taking great risks for knowledge, exploration, and growth. This is what makes them extraordinary, Kiro said quietly. Power alone is dangerous. But humans combine power with creativity, intelligence, and conscience. That is what makes them different. Suddenly, a section of the archive projected a different hologram. This time it was a warning specifically addressed to other civilizations. Do not underestimate us. Respect our history. Remember that we are capable of shaping the galaxy. Those who seek to harm or control us will fail. Those who choose to work with us may prosper. Loma looked at Kiro. They knew someone would find this. They were planning for the future. Even while hidden, humans thought far ahead. Kiro nodded slowly. It is clear. They did not disappear because they were weak. They disappeared because they wanted to survive and grow stronger. And now, someone has found them. The galaxy may not be ready, but humans are ready for it. The warning filled the ship with a strange tension. The aliens had always thought humans were a small, extinct race, nothing more than stories. Now, the evidence suggested that humans were not only alive but prepared. Kiro realized that the galaxy had forgotten the danger humans represented. This forgetting was a mistake. As the ship moved deeper into space, Kiro considered the implications. Humans could bring knowledge, leadership, and power. But they could also bring challenges, conflicts, and tests the galaxy had never faced. The aliens needed to decide how to approach this discovery. They could greet humans as allies or confront them as threats. Loma looked at the glowing archive one last time. We are not just finding history, she said. We are meeting the past and the future at the same time. Kiro agreed. And the past we meet is not weak or forgotten. It is dangerous, intelligent, and alive. Humans are not a race to be ignored. They are a force to be remembered. As the ship continued on its course, the stars outside seemed brighter. The warning of the humans echoed in Kiro's mind. The galaxy had believed humans were gone, but they had only been waiting. Soon, the forgotten race might awaken. And when they did, no one would underestimate them again. The blackness of space stretched endlessly before Kiro and his team. The stars glittered like distant diamonds, but their minds were fixed on one question. Could the humans described in the archive still exist? Could they be alive after centuries of hiding? Suddenly, a small blip appeared on the ship's radar. Kiro leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Something is coming, he said. The blip grew larger, and a shape became visible. It was a ship, unlike any alien vessel they had ever seen. Sleek and streamlined, it glimmered with polished metal that reflected starlight. Energy flowed along its surface in patterns that seemed alive. Loma gasped. That design, it matches the human archives. That ship, it is theirs. The human vessel approached cautiously but with confidence. Kiro felt a strange mixture of awe and fear. The stories had not prepared him for this moment. The humans were not only alive, but their technology was beyond anything the aliens had imagined. A projection appeared from the human ship. It showed a single figure standing in a silver suit. The human raised a hand in greeting. Kiro and Loma studied the figure closely. The posture was calm and deliberate, the movement controlled but natural. It is them, Kiro whispered. It is human. The human ship landed on a nearby moon, its engines barely disturbing the surface. Kiro and his team followed cautiously, bringing their own small craft down beside it. As they approached, they noticed the fine details of the ship. Symbols glowed softly on the hull, shifting in patterns that seemed to respond to their presence. The humans had built a ship that was more than metal and energy. It was alive in a way the aliens could not understand. The human stepped down, revealing a tall figure with a calm expression. The helmet was open, showing dark eyes that seemed to observe everything at once. The human introduced themselves simply. I am Nilo, they said in a voice clear and steady. I come in peace. Kiro bowed respectfully. I am Kiro, leader of this expedition, he said. We found your archives. We did not expect to meet you. Nilo smiled faintly. You found what we left behind. It was meant to be found when the time was right. I see that time has come. Loma whispered to Kiro, their energy, it feels different. Strong, but controlled. Intelligent. They are not reckless. Nilo continued to speak, explaining that humans had chosen to remain hidden for centuries. They had watched and learned from other civilizations, improving themselves in ways that others could not imagine. Their goal was not conquest, but preparation. Humanity had waited until the galaxy was ready to remember them. Kiro struggled to hide his surprise. The humans described in the archives were powerful, yes, but meeting one in person made the reality undeniable. Every word, every movement of Nilo radiated confidence and intelligence. The stories had not exaggerated, humans were extraordinary. The aliens tried to communicate with Nilo about their discoveries on Zarian. Nilo listened carefully, nodding occasionally, then shared insights that no alien had considered. They understood energy systems, strategies, and philosophies that were far beyond the aliens' current knowledge. "You are clever," Kiro said finally. "Your technology, your thinking, it exceeds our understanding." Nilo shrugged lightly. "We learn from everything. The galaxy has much to teach, and we have much to offer. But we are not here to prove our strength. We are here to observe, to guide, and to act when necessary." Despite the calm words, the aliens felt tension in the air. They had always imagined humans as stories of the past. Now, a living human stood before them, demonstrating capability, intelligence, and control. Kiro realized that if humans decided to act, no force in the galaxy could match them easily. Loma stepped closer. "Do you fear them?" she asked quietly. Kiro shook his head. "Not fear. Respect. Humans are not only strong and intelligent, but they are unpredictable. That makes them dangerous, yes, but also remarkable." Nilo observed the ruins on Zarian from a distance. "You have discovered part of our history," they said. "But history is only one layer. There is much more. We adapt, learn, and create. That is why humans survive. That is why we are here now." The sun rose slowly over the moon, casting long shadows on the ground. Kiro and his team watched Nilo and their ship. The human did not boast or threaten, but their presence alone changed the atmosphere. The galaxy had forgotten humans, but humans had not forgotten the galaxy. As Nilo prepared to return to their ship, Kiro realized a truth the archive had hinted at but could not convey fully. Humans were not extinct. They were hidden. They were powerful. And when they chose to show themselves, they would change the galaxy forever. Kiro looked at the stars and felt a spark of hope. Humans could be allies, teachers, and guides. But the aliens also knew that if humans decided to act on their own terms, no one could predict the outcome. Humanity was alive. Humanity was ready. And humanity was extraordinary. The alien council gathered on the central platform of their starship. Kiro stood at the edge, watching Nilo move calmly across the chamber. The humans had landed without conflict, yet their presence filled the room with tension. Some aliens whispered nervously, others stared in awe. All eyes were on the human who had returned from a race thought to be forgotten. "We must test them," said an elder named Vero. "If humans are as the archives say, we need to know what we are dealing with." Kiro nodded. "Agreed. But the test must be fair. They are not enemies. They are a force we cannot ignore." The council designed a series of challenges, blending intelligence, agility, and strategy. The first trial was a maze of shifting walls and energy fields. Nilo stepped forward without hesitation. The walls moved unpredictably, closing paths and opening others. Nilo observed carefully, moving with purpose. Every step was deliberate. When a wall shifted unexpectedly, Nilo adapted immediately, finding a new route and avoiding traps that would have caught any other species. The aliens watched silently. Loma whispered, "They do not panic. They analyze, then act. That is what makes them different." Next came the intelligence trial. A complex energy puzzle floated in the air, its parts spinning and connecting in unpredictable ways. The goal was to realign the energy streams into a stable pattern. Nilo studied the puzzle for only a moment, then began moving the components. Each action was precise. The puzzle responded to the human's touch, connecting the streams in ways the aliens had never imagined. Within minutes, the energy stabilized, glowing with a bright, steady light. The council murmured among themselves. "Impossible," one alien said. "No one could solve it so quickly." The final trial combined strategy and teamwork. Drones were released into the chamber, programmed to act aggressively but predictably. Nilo had to guide a small alien team through the drone's path without harm. Nilo moved calmly, giving clear instructions. The humans anticipated each move of the drones, adjusting their plan as the drones changed direction. By the end, the drones were contained safely, and the team had completed the challenge with no injuries. Kiro stepped forward. "You have done more than complete the tests," he said. "You have shown creativity, adaptation, and leadership. You are extraordinary." Nilo nodded respectfully. "We do not see these as challenges to overcome. They are opportunities to learn and teach. Humans adapt because we study, observe, and think. Strength alone is not enough. Intelligence and planning matter more." Lomo looked at Nilo with admiration. "It is incredible. Every move is calculated, yet natural. They make it look easy, but it is beyond us." The council had no choice but to acknowledge the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, capable of mastering any situation with skill and strategy. Their presence proved that the warnings in the archives were real. Humans were dangerous, yes, but in a way that combined intelligence with power. Vero spoke finally. "We cannot treat them as threats. Nor can we underestimate them. We must learn from them, respect them, and proceed carefully. The galaxy has forgotten humans, but we cannot." Nilo smiled faintly. "We do not wish to dominate. We wish to exist and grow. We observe, we learn, and we share when appropriate. But we will act if necessary. That is the nature of our species." Kiro felt a deep respect for the humans standing before him. They were not just a visitor from a lost race. They were a reminder of what the galaxy had once feared and what it might see again. Humans had survived because they were clever, adaptable, and resilient. The trials had shown the aliens that humans were not only capable but extraordinary. As the council dispersed, Kiro stayed behind with Nilo. "Your people have been gone for centuries," he said quietly. "Why return now?" Nilo looked at the stars. "We returned because the galaxy is ready to see humans again. We have learned, we have grown, and now we can act in ways that protect life, knowledge, and growth. The galaxy must be reminded that humans are not extinct. We are alive, and we are prepared." The wind of the moon brushed past the ship's surface. The light of the nearby stars reflected on Nilo's armor, creating a glow that seemed almost like a symbol. Kiro realized the truth fully now. The humans were not just survivors. They were a force of nature, capable of reshaping the galaxy. For the first time, the aliens understood what the archives had meant. Humans were dangerous, yes, but their danger came from intelligence, creativity, and resilience. They were a race to respect, to observe, and perhaps, one day, to follow. Nilo turned to leave the chamber, their calm presence leaving a quiet but powerful impression. Kiro watched, knowing that this was only the beginning. Humans had returned, and their impact on the galaxy would be profound. The challenges had ended, but the awakening of the forgotten race had only just begun. The return of humans had stirred whispers across the alien council. Some members saw promise, others saw danger. A faction led by the Elder Zarn believed humans were too powerful to be trusted. They feared what the archives had warned: humans were dangerous, clever, and unpredictable. Zarn gathered a group of loyal followers and plotted to confront Nilo. "We cannot let them roam freely," he said. "If humans choose to act, no force in the galaxy can stop them." We must strike first. Kiro learned of the plan and felt a knot in his chest. He had come to respect humans and understood their strength, but he also realized that fear often led to reckless decisions. We cannot provoke them, he warned the council. We must approach with caution. Humans are not our enemies, but they are not to be underestimated. Zarn ignored the warning. Under the cover of darkness on the moon, his forces launched an attack on Nilo's ship. Drones swarmed the area, weapons ready to disable the human vessel. But Nilo was prepared. The first wave of drones approached. Nilo calmly activated the ship's defense systems. Energy barriers rose, deflecting attacks while the humans analyzed the movements of the drones. Instead of firing recklessly, Nilo guided the energy, creating patterns that trapped the drones without causing permanent damage. Kiro and his team watched in awe. They are not just defending, Loma whispered. They are controlling the battlefield. Nilo moved among the drones with precision. Small devices were released, interfering with the drone's programming. Each drone stopped mid-air, its energy temporarily disabled. The humans had turned a dangerous attack into a demonstration of strategy and skill. Zarn's forces were frustrated. Their plan relied on overwhelming the humans with strength. Instead, the humans responded with intelligence and patience. Every attack was neutralized efficiently, without unnecessary harm. Kiro stepped forward, communicating with Nilo. You could destroy them completely, he said quietly. Why do you not? Nilo's eyes were calm. Strength without control leads to chaos. We are not here to destroy unnecessarily. We are here to survive and teach when possible. They must learn that humans are not reckless. We act with purpose. As the battle continued, the humans demonstrated more than defense. They anticipated the aliens' strategies, using traps, energy redirection, and subtle movements to guide the attackers away from critical areas. The drones were disabled, and Zarn's forces were forced to retreat without achieving their goal. The council was stunned. Never had they seen such control, intelligence, and calm under pressure. Humans were not just strong, they were careful, creative, and strategic. The archives had warned of danger, but the reality was even greater. After the confrontation, Nilo approached the council. You fear what you do not understand, they said. Humans have the ability to act with force, but we choose restraint. We are not here to conquer, but to exist. If you act with respect and understanding, there is knowledge and growth for everyone. If you act with fear, there will be consequences. Kiro nodded. Your words carry truth. Humans are powerful, but they are fair. They do not attack without reason, and they do not seek unnecessary harm. Zarn remained silent, realizing that his fear had been unfounded but also shaken by the humans' capability. The other council members whispered among themselves, acknowledging that the humans were not to be underestimated. Nilo returned to their ship, leaving a sense of awe and caution in the council chamber. This is only the beginning, Kiro thought. Humans have returned, and their influence will grow. The galaxy has forgotten them, but we cannot afford to. The stars above the moon glimmered as the humans prepared for the next stage of their journey. Their presence was a reminder that intelligence, strategy, and control were just as important as strength. The aliens had seen firsthand that humans combined these qualities in a way that no other species could match. Loma looked at Kiro with a mixture of respect and worry. They could change everything, she said. And soon, the galaxy will remember them. Kiro agreed. Yes. Humans are not just survivors. They are innovators, protectors, and a force to be respected. The conflict today showed their strength, but also their wisdom. That is what makes them extraordinary. As the council dispersed, the echoes of the confrontation lingered. The humans had proven themselves without unnecessary destruction, teaching the aliens a lesson in strategy, restraint, and intelligence. Zarn's fear remained, but it was tempered by the undeniable truth, humans were a force unlike any other, and the galaxy had only begun to see what that meant. Nilo watched from their ship, calm and confident. The humans had faced their first challenge in this new era. The galaxy had remembered them, and now it was time to see what humans could do when they chose to act with purpose and wisdom. After the confrontation with Zarn's faction, the council remained tense. The aliens understood that humans were not only powerful but intelligent beyond expectation. Yet, many questions lingered. Why had humans disappeared for so long? Why had they waited in hiding? Kiro invited Nilo to the council chamber to answer these questions. The chamber was quiet, filled with curious eyes. Nilo stood tall, calm, and confident. You wonder why humans vanished, they began. The answer is simple. We chose to disappear to learn, to grow, and to survive. The galaxy was unprepared for the full potential of humans. We needed time to prepare as well. The aliens listened closely. Lomo leaned forward. You were never gone, she said softly. You were hidden, learning, and observing. But why? What was the purpose? Nilo looked at her kindly. Humans are survivors and creators. We learn from every challenge, every species, every world. We disappear not out of fear, but to gain knowledge and strength. We prepare so that when we return, we can act with purpose, wisdom, and fairness. Kiro considered this carefully. You left to grow stronger, but also to protect. Nilo nodded. Yes. Humans understand that power without control is dangerous. That is why we waited. We studied other civilizations, learned their ways, and grew ourselves. Our return is not for conquest, but to guide, protect, and inspire when needed. The council murmured among themselves. The idea of a species so intelligent, patient, and disciplined was new to them. They had studied humans in history, but meeting one now showed that humans had planned far ahead, thinking in ways that no other species could imagine. Loma asked, so all the stories of humans being dangerous, were they warnings? Nilo smiled slightly. Yes. We are dangerous because we adapt, learn, and act with precision. But danger is not always destruction. Danger can be a warning, a lesson, or a test. We use our abilities carefully, not recklessly. Kiro realized that humans had mastered the balance between power and morality. They were not only clever and strong, but they had a deep understanding of responsibility. Humans had survived not because they fought blindly, but because they acted wisely. Nilo continued, explaining the philosophy of humanity. We do not act without thought. We observe, plan, and respond. That is why humans have endured when other races have fallen. That is why we have survived in secret, growing stronger, learning from the galaxy itself. The council members looked around at one another. Some nodded slowly, understanding the depth of the human mind. Others remained silent, overwhelmed by the knowledge. No species had ever approached life with such discipline and foresight. Kiro asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. What do humans want now that you have returned? Nilo's gaze was steady. We want to exist. We want to share knowledge and wisdom with those who are ready. We want to guide when necessary and protect when needed. Humans do not seek unnecessary conflict, but we will act if balance is threatened. We are here to remind the galaxy of what was forgotten. The council felt the weight of these words. Humans had chosen to disappear to survive and to grow. Now, their return was not only a revelation but a promise. A promise that the galaxy had a chance to witness wisdom, strength, and leadership unlike any before. Loma whispered to Kiro, they are not just humans. They are teachers, leaders, and protectors. Their return changes everything. Kiro nodded. Yes. Humans are extraordinary. They survived when others failed. They learned when others fought blindly. And now, they are here to guide, not dominate. Nilo looked around the chamber one last time. We will act carefully, but we will act when necessary. The galaxy must remember humans, not as stories of the past, but as a living, growing, and responsible force. Those who seek to challenge us will learn that intelligence and restraint are as powerful as strength. Those who choose to learn with us will gain knowledge, guidance, and wisdom. As Nilo left the chamber, a quiet awe filled the room. The council members knew that humans were not merely survivors. They were visionaries, strategists, and protectors. The warnings of the archives had been true, but now they understood the deeper truth. Humans were dangerous, yes, but their danger was controlled, purposeful, and wise. Kiro looked up at the stars, thinking of the galaxy beyond. Humans have returned not to conquer, he said quietly. They have returned to teach, protect, and inspire. And when they act, the galaxy will see what we have only begun to understand. Humanity is not just a race. It is a force of intelligence, wisdom, and balance. The revelation of humanity's purpose spread slowly among the council. Fear had been replaced by respect, awe, and understanding. The humans had returned not to dominate, but to guide. Their presence was a reminder that survival alone was not enough. True power came from learning, planning, and acting with wisdom. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered humans as they truly were, extraordinary, responsible, and ready. The galaxy had begun to shift. News of humans' return spread slowly but surely. Some planets welcomed them with hope, eager to learn and grow. Others remained cautious, unsure of what the humans might do. Kiro and his team observed quietly, knowing that the impact of humanity would be felt far and wide. Nilo stood on the bridge of their ship, looking out at the stars. We have returned not to conquer, but to guide, they said calmly. Our presence must show strength, wisdom, and responsibility. Those who learn with us will grow stronger. Those who oppose recklessness will understand the consequences. On the first planet where humans landed openly, they were greeted with curiosity. Alien species had prepared for a show of power, but what they saw was different. Humans worked with careful skill, helping to repair damaged systems, share knowledge, and teach strategies that improved efficiency. They demonstrated technology that could purify water, generate energy, and protect habitats. Every action showed intelligence, creativity, and a sense of fairness. The leaders of the planets observed closely. Kiro explained to them what the humans had revealed in the council. Humans are not here for war, he said. They are here to guide, to teach, and to protect. But they are also capable of defending themselves and others with precision and strategy. They are a force unlike any we have known. Nilo and their team moved from planet to planet, not to dominate, but to assist. They advised on energy systems, taught methods to improve farming, and showed ways to prevent conflicts before they began. Aliens who had once doubted humans now watched with admiration and respect. On one planet, a dispute arose between two neighboring colonies over resources. The humans intervened, not with force, but with strategy and insight. They guided both sides to share the resources fairly, introducing new technology and ideas that increased production. The aliens were amazed. What might have turned into a long conflict ended in cooperation. Kiro observed quietly. Humans are teaching more than survival, he said. They are teaching fairness, strategy, and intelligence. That is what makes them extraordinary. As months passed, the humans became known as advisors, problem solvers, and protectors. Even the factions that had once feared them came to respect their wisdom. The galaxy began to remember the warnings of the archives not as threats, but as truths about the extraordinary nature of humanity. Nilo looked at Kiro one day. The galaxy is learning, they said. But our work is only beginning. Humans have returned to remind everyone that strength must be balanced with intelligence and responsibility. That is our legacy. The humans shared stories of their past, showing how they had survived wars, natural disasters, and difficult planets. Each story carried a lesson: adapt, think, cooperate, and plan carefully. The aliens listened, learning not just about survival, but about creativity, problem solving, and leadership. The presence of humans also inspired innovation. Alien engineers and scientists worked alongside humans, creating new technology that combined the best of both species. Communities grew stronger, defenses improved, and conflicts became rarer. The galaxy began to change, slowly but noticeably, as humans shared knowledge without domination. Kiro reflected on everything he had witnessed. Humans had returned not to take control, but to elevate the galaxy. They had shown that danger and strength could coexist with wisdom and care. They had reminded every species that survival alone was not enough. True power came from intelligence, creativity, and cooperation. The final lesson came when humans helped prevent a natural disaster on a distant planet. A massive storm threatened millions, and humans worked with local species to stabilize the environment. Energy barriers, advanced prediction systems, and careful planning saved lives. Aliens who had doubted humanity now realized that humans were not only capable, but they could inspire others to act better, think smarter, and care more deeply. As the sun set on another world, Nilo looked out at the horizon. Humans have returned, they said softly, not to conquer, but to leave a legacy. We are not a force of fear. We are a force of growth, learning, and protection. That is what humanity is. That is what humanity will always be. Kiro watched the human leader with deep respect. The galaxy had witnessed the return of a forgotten race, but it was not just the return of humans that mattered. It was the example they set, the proof that intelligence, strategy, creativity, and compassion could shape the future. The humans had returned, and the galaxy remembered them. Not as a dangerous myth, but as a living, growing, and extraordinary race. Their legacy was clear: strength paired with wisdom, power balanced by responsibility, and courage guided by intelligence. In every corner of the galaxy, beings of many species began to speak of the humans with admiration. A forgotten race was now a remembered force. And humanity's story was no longer about survival alone, it was about shaping the galaxy for the better, leaving a mark that would endure for generations to come.